Long Island serial killer, also referred to by media sources as the Gilgo Beach Killer or the Craigslist Ripper, is an unidentified suspected serial killer who is believed to have murdered 10 to 16 people associated with the sex trade over a period of nearly 20 years, and dumped their bodies along the Ocean Parkway, near the remote Long Island, New York beach towns of Gilgo Beach and Oak Beach in Suffolk County, and the area of Jones Beach State Park in Nassau County. The remains of 4 victims were found in December 2010, while 6 more sets of remains were found in March and April 2011. Police believe the latest sets of remains predate the 4 bodies found in December 2010. On May 9, 2011, authorities surmised that 2 of the newest sets of remains might be the work of a second killer. On November 29, 2011, however, the police announced their belief that one person is responsible for all 10 deaths, and that they did not believe the case of Shannan Gilbert, an escort who was missing when the first set of bodies were found, was related. It is clear that the area in and around Gilgo Beach has been used to discard human remains for some period of time, said Suffolk County District Attorney Thomas Spota. Police investigation. Police were initially searching for Shannan Gilbert, a 24-year-old woman from New Jersey, who was working as an escort and was reported missing on May 1, 2010. In December 2010, a police officer and his dog, on a routine training exercise, discovered the first body, the skeletal remains of a woman in a nearly disintegrated burlap sack. A few months later, in late March and early April 2011, 4 more bodies were discovered in another area off the Parkway. Suffolk police expanded the search area up to the Nassau County border, looking for more victims. On April 6, 2011, Detective Lt. Kevin Smith of the Nassau County Police Department said that his office will further explore and investigate any criminal activity which may be in close proximity to the recently discovered human remains found in Suffolk. Smith also said that Nassau County Police will be coordinating with Suffolk County and New York State Police on the investigation. On April 22, 2011, 2 human teeth were found about a foot from the skull. On September 20, 2011, police released composite sketches of 2 of the unidentified victims whose remains were found in March and April 2011, an Asian male and Jane Doe 6, as well as photos of jewelry found on the remains of a female toddler and her mother, found on April 4 and 11, 2011, respectively. On November 29, 2011, police announced that they believe one person is responsible for all 10 murders, and that the person is almost certainly from Long Island. On December 13, 2011, the remains of Shannan Gilbert were found in a marsh about half a mile from where she disappeared, and a week after some of her clothes and belongings were found in the vicinity. Police believe that Shannan accidentally drowned after stumbling into a swamp, a view not shared by her mother. She had last been seen banging on her residence door and screaming for help before running off into the night. A panicked 911 call from Gilbert that night revealed her saying that they were going to kill her. Quote, on December 10, 2015, the evening before the 5-year anniversary of the discovery of the first 4 sets of remains, the Suffolk County Police Department announced that the FBI had officially joined the investigation. A spokesperson for the FBI confirmed the announcement. The FBI had previously assisted in the search for victims, but was never officially part of the investigation until this announcement. Identity of the killer. There has been much speculation in the media concerning the identity of the killer, currently known as unknown subject. It has been suggested that the serial killer is most likely a white male in his mid-20s to mid-40s, who is very familiar with the South Shore of Long Island and has access to burlap sacks, which he uses to contain the bodies. Some have speculated that serial killer and former Long Island resident Jill Rifkin may have been responsible for some of the older remains found in March and April 2011, as 4 of the victims' bodies were never found. On December 15, 2016, the attorney for the family of victim Shannan Gilbert said there's a connection between Suffolk County's former police chief James Burke and the murders. Victims' bodies discovered in December 2010. Of the 10 bodies are sets of remains found since late 2010. The 4 discovered in December 2010 have been identified as missing prostitutes who all advertised their services on Craigslist. They had all been strangled and their bodies wrapped in burlap sacks before being dumped along Gilgo Beach. All are believed to have been killed elsewhere. Identified: Maureen Brainerd Barnes, 25, of Norwich, Connecticut, was an escort who advertised her services online. Maureen, who was only 4 feet 11 inches tall and 105 pounds, went to Long Island, New York, to spend the day in New York City, and was never seen again. Melissa Barthélemy, 24, of Erie County, New York, went missing on July 10, 2009. She had been living in the Bronx and working as an escort through Craigslist. Megan Waterman, 22, of South Portland, Maine, went missing on June 6, 2010, after placing advertisements on Craigslist as an escort. The day before, she had told her 20-year-old boyfriend that she was going out and would call him later. At the time of her disappearance, she was staying at a motel in Hauppauge, New York, 15 miles northeast of Gilgo Beach. Her body was also recovered in December 2010. Amber Lynn Costello, 27, of North Babylon, New York, a town 10 miles north of Gilgo Beach, was a prostitute and a heroin user who went missing on September 2, 2010. Remains discovered in March and April 2011. The 4 sets of remains discovered on March 29 and April 4 were all within 2 miles and to the east of those found in December. They included 2 women, a man, and a toddler. Identified: Jessica Taylor, 20, most recently of Manhattan, went missing in July 2003. On July 26, 2003, her naked torso, chopped in pieces and missing its head and hands, was discovered 45 miles east of Gilgo Beach in Manorville, New York. Unidentified: Jane Doe, 6 inches, a human head, right foot, and hands, found on April 4, were determined to have belonged to an unidentified victim, the rest of whose body was found on November 19, 2000, in the same part of Manorville where most of Jessica Taylor's remains were discovered. The dismembered remains of Jessica Taylor and Jane Doe, 6 inches, were both disposed of in a similar manner and in the same town, suggesting a link. In September 2011, police released a composite sketch of Jane Doe, 6 inches. She was about 5 feet 2 inches and was between 18 and 35 years old. It is likely that she worked as a prostitute. John Doe, also discovered on April 4 at Gilgo Beach, very close to where the first 4 were discovered in December 2010, was the body of what appeared to be a young Asian male who died from blunt force trauma. Baby Doe, the third body found on April 4, about 250 feet away from the partial remains of Jane Doe, 6, was that of a female toddler between 16 and 24 months of age. Peaches. On June 28, 1997, the dismembered torso of an unidentified young African-American female was found at Hempstead Lake State Park, in the town of Lakeview. The torso was found in a green plastic Rubbermaid container, which was dumped next to a road along the west side of the lake. Investigators reported that the victim had a tattoo of a heart-shaped peach with a bite out of it, and 2 drips falling from its core on her left breast. Then, on April 11, 2011, Police in Nassau County discovered dismembered skeletal human remains inside a plastic bag near Jones Beach State Park. Nicknamed Jane Doe No. 3 inches. DNA analysis identified this victim as the mother of baby Doe. Quote, Jane Doe No. 7 inches. Also on April 11th, at nearby Tobay Beach, a separate human skull and several teeth were recovered. Other possible victims. On March 3, 2007, a suitcase containing the dismembered torso of an unidentified Hispanic or light-skinned African-American female washed up on a beach at Harbor Island Park, in the town of Mamaroneck. The victim had a tattoo of 2 cherries on her left breast that was similar in appearance to the tattoo found on Peaches, and was determined to have been stabbed to death. Never identified. The victim is referred to as Cherries by investigators. One of her dismembered legs washed up at Cold Spring Harbor on March 21, and her other leg washed up at Oyster Bay in the village of Cove Neck the following day. Cherries was dismembered in a fashion similar to that of Jessica Taylor, Peaches, and Jane Doe No. 6, meaning she may possibly link to the other official victims. On May 17, 2011, the New York Post reported that Long Island police were revisiting other similar unsolved murders of prostitutes. Named in the article was Tanya Rush, 39, a mother of 3 from Brooklyn whose dismembered body was found in a small suitcase in June 2008 on the shoulder of the Southern State Parkway in Belmore, New York. Shannan Maria Gilbert was an escort who may have been a victim of the Long Island serial killer. She left for a client's residence in Oak Beach after midnight on May 1, 2010, at 4:51 in the morning. 911 dispatchers received a panicked phone call from Gilbert, who can be heard saying that there was someone after her, and that they were trying to kill her. She was last seen a short time later banging on the front door of a nearby Oak Beach residence and screaming for help before running off into the night. On January 23, 2013, a woman walking her dog found human remains intentionally buried in a small piece of brush in a sandy area along the shore at the end of Sheep Lane in Laddingtown, near Oyster Bay. The remains are believed to be of a woman between the ages of 20 and 30, possibly Asian. She was wearing a 22-karat gold pig pendant, which may be a reference in some Asian cultures to the year of the pig. Quote, this leads some to believe she died at the age of 29. There was trauma caused to her bones. Investigators believe she was buried before Hurricane Sandy in late 2012. Her case may be connected to the other 10 bodies found 32 miles away in and around Gilgo Beach. On March 16, 2013, a 31-year-old woman, later identified as Natasha Jugo, was last seen leaving her home near Alley Pond Park, Queens. Her car was found along Ocean Parkway and some of her clothes and belongings were found in the sand near Gilgo Beach the following day. Jugo was described as 5 feet, 7 inches tall, 120 pounds with brown eyes and blonde hair. She was last seen wearing a black robe, pink pajamas, gray hooded sweatshirt, black coat, and black boots. Police are unsure whether the case is connected to the victims of the Long Island serial killer. Jugo's family mentioned that she had a history of problems in which she thought people were following her. Quote, "It's their belief that one person is responsible for all 10 deaths, and that they did not believe the case of Shannan Gilbert, an escort who was missing when the first set of bodies were found, was related. It is clear that the area in and around Gilgo Beach has been used to discard human remains for some period of time." Long Island serial killer, also referred to by media sources as the Gilgo Beach Killer or the Craigslist Ripper, is an unidentified suspected serial killer who is believed to have murdered 10 to 16 people associated with the sex trade over a period of nearly 20 years. In April 2011, Police believe the latest sets of remains predate the 4 bodies found in December 2010. On May 9, 2011, authorities surmised that 2 of the newest sets of remains might be the work of a second killer. On November 29, 2011, however, the police announced and dumped their bodies along the Ocean Parkway, near the remote Long Island, New York beach towns of Gilgo Beach and Oak Beach in Suffolk County, and the area of Jones Beach State Park in Nassau County. The remains of 4 victims were found in December 2010, while 6 more sets of remains were found in March, said Suffolk County District Attorney Thomas Spoda. Police investigation. Police were initially searching for Shannan Gilbert, a 24-year-old woman from New Jersey, who was working as an escort and was reported missing on May 1, 2010. In December 2010, a police officer